The memorial service for Monica Quartermaine was meant to be a quiet, dignified farewell to a beloved matriarch, but instead it became the spark that unleashed a storm of vengeance, deception, and twisted ambition. When Tracy Quartermaine forcefully pushed Drew out of the church, refusing him entry to say goodbye to Monica, the humiliation ignited something dangerous within him. Drew had been simmering for months, but Monica's death and Tracy's rejection sent him over the edge. This wasn't simply grief anymore, it was rage sharpened into something darker, a thirst for revenge that would ripple through every corner of Port Charles. His anger was not a passing flare, it was a declaration that Drew was ready to burn bridges, rewrite history, and destroy lives if it meant reclaiming power. In Drew's mind, Monica had been the tether that restrained him. She represented family ties, loyalty, and the one force capable of tempering his growing resentment. Now that she was gone, the chains were broken. Drew wasted no time in confiding to Martin Gray that Monica's presence had been the only reason he kept his distance from Michael Corinthus. With her gone, nothing stopped him from weaponizing his fractured memories and reshaping them into a lethal story. He began spinning a narrative of false recollections, pretending to recall Michael pulling the trigger in the shooting that nearly claimed his life. It was a dangerous gambit, because Drew didn't know who the shooter was, but he was willing to gamble everything on a lie if it meant crushing Michael once and for all. The deception wasn't without risks. To sustain such a fabricated memory, Drew needed allies and leverage. He turned his eyes to Curtis, not because of friendship, but because of Portia. Drew had already blackmailed her, and Curtis, as her husband, became an unwilling pawn in this dangerous chess match. Every move Drew made was calculated, every alliance transactional. Yet, beneath the bravado, the core question continued to haunt both Drew and the audience: who actually fired that shot? General Hospital's writers seemed content to let the mystery simmer, dangling possibilities and planting doubt while viewers questioned every flashback, every fragment of memory. Soap operas thrive on blurred realities, and Drew's mind became a battlefield of truth and illusion. Though he had been shot from behind, memory has a way of distorting trauma, and GH made it clear that sooner or later Drew would unlock a shard of truth. A single image, a faint sound, or even the reflection of his attacker in a mirror could unravel everything. Such rewrites of memory are classic GH storytelling, a clever use of perspective that allows the writers to drop revelations when the time is most devastating. Perhaps Drew would notice the detail of a shoe, the glint of a bracelet, or the tremor of a voice. In those small details, the truth would break through the lies. And what if that truth was worse than the lie? Imagine Drew's horror if he finally remembered that it was Willow who pulled the trigger. The woman he dreamed of building a future with, the woman he clung to as his hope for redemption, suddenly unmasked as his would-be killer. The revelation would not just wound him, it would destroy his illusion of family, love, and trust. Yet Drew's thirst for control could twist even this into an opportunity. Rather than walking away, he might choose to blackmail Willow, chaining her to him through fear and guilt. He could present himself as her only protector while holding her darkest secret over her head. That dynamic could tilt from obsession to punishment, love to hatred, depending on which way Drew's fractured psyche broke. Still, the danger of this path lay in the collision between fake memories and genuine ones. If Drew doubled down on blaming Michael while his subconscious whispered Willow's guilt, his web of lies might collapse under the weight of truth. Every person he sought to manipulate, Curtis, Martin, Willow, could become a potential enemy if his inconsistencies surfaced. Worse still, Tracy's rejection and Monica's absence had already pushed him into reckless territory. His grief had become a mask for cruelty, his sense of loss a justification for vengeance. Once Drew crossed that line, there was no guarantee he would ever find his way back. The brilliance of this storyline lies in its uncertainty. Drew's vendetta is not built on facts but on shadows and inventions, and yet it feels just as dangerous as a real confession. Viewers are left to question whether his false memories will gain traction before the real ones return, and what happens when the two collide. Will Drew destroy Michael with lies before recognizing Willow's betrayal? Or will the truth come too late, shattering not only Drew but everyone tied to him? General Hospital thrives on these layered mysteries, feeding its audience with tension and dangling the promise of explosive payoffs. Each scene tightens the rope around Drew's neck, not just because of what he remembers or pretends to remember, but because of the choices he makes in the aftermath. By aligning himself with blackmail, lies, and vengeance, Drew is building his own downfall. Yet the most gripping element is that his downfall may not come from his enemies, but from his own fractured mind betraying him when the truth finally resurfaces. As the storyline unfolds, viewers are bracing for the inevitable breaking point. Whether it's a shattering flashback, a betrayal uncovered, or a confrontation spiraling out of control, Drew's carefully crafted facade cannot last forever. The question is not only who pulled the trigger, but who will survive the fallout once Drew learns the truth. General Hospital is promising its audience a revelation that will rock Port Charles to its core, and Drew's unraveling may be the match that sets the whole city ablaze. Would you like me to expand this into a full-length narrative article of about 10,000 characters in one continuous dramatic flow, like a magazine-style feature with no section breaks, or would you prefer me to keep some structure with subheadings for easier reading?